Hello, I'm Sam Carr. This is going to be the video demo for how can I paint tribal scar marks. But it becomes more of a demo of how to paint a face, as usual, and then slap some scars on at the end. But it's not entirely a bad thing. You'll usually find with a lot of jobs, you'll get asked to do something you don't really know anything about. It's not too much of a big deal if you can practice the skill of just being able to evaluate some images and pick up how to quickly gain that effect. I don't really need to understand everything about tribal culture in order to achieve the illusion of the scars. So most of the video will just be about achieving a face that works on a fundamental level before going into the scarring process. But I just start with a line drawing a lot. Like things to be correct, I guess. I can't really paint faces too well if I don't have enough structure. Just painting a tribal guy. I got some images you can see on the right. I just compiled some images I found on Google. Just reference the ones I thought were most helpful for what I wanted to achieve. It's good to narrow down your references so that you're not stretching yourself too thin. You've got to have a pretty clear image of what you want. Just, once again, tweaking the face a lot. That's what all my video demos are. People, I could talk about what I'm doing here, I guess, but if you really want to learn how to paint faces and stuff, it's just lots and lots of practice. I recommend Andrew Loomis's Drawing Heads and Hands if you want to gain the basics of how to draw faces from your imagination, how things should work proportionally and how to do it from different angles. I swear by that book. If you wanna be able to do it from scratch, this is no real reference on the angle or anything. So yeah, I think if you want to be able to do that, you just need to study a lot and apply what you learn a lot too. Just blocking in coarse shadows. I've washed out all the values. Oh wait, no, I took that back. Okay. Yeah, a lot of my process as well is just going back, changing what I did. So now I decided instead to maybe a multiply layer or something, but just distinguishing my shapes. So I know that I want the face to be a darker value than the background. So that kind of puts a cap on how light the lightest value on looking in some light shapes. And I'll probably just be distinguishing where the light falls, like this, yeah. Just get a general impression. Applying shadow shapes. I've done a lot of this stuff. I go to Swedish Academy of Realist Art, Stockholm. I'm studying there at the moment. We learn all, this stuff gets drilled into you, how to create a lighting situation that's believable. And I think it's honestly mostly down to separating your light and shadow shapes, and remembering that your light values, you're painting light. The shadow areas are just the areas where the least light hits. I find I tend to go for the same lighting situation a lot, but that also kind of changes as well. You go through phases. I think this video is not that sped up. The original took maybe like an hour and a half. It's been condensed down to 25 minutes. So I don't have to do too much talking because I really don't enjoy it. Just, you know, building sense of light, like I'm saying, over and over. Making sure the highlights feel believable, I guess, separating them with mid-tone. Thinking about planes. I think if you want to get to the stuff that actually answers the question, it might be worth just skipping forward in the video. I think the biggest thing at this stage is to make sure that the fundamentals you established in your sketch, that they remain the same, but also that you spot the things that were wrong in the sketch. So it's a little bit of it's a strange dance. You gotta evaluate what actually needs fixing, like what doesn't work, once there's values in place, because that'll immediately appear wrong. But also making sure you don't soften too many shapes, for instance. Like you want to keep straight lines, usually, for structure. In terms of speed, I think this is probably around 20 minutes in or something. If you want to get fast, I would recommend doing lots of slow studies, like very long, well, not even studies, I don't think, I don't swear by them too much. Just working on very long projects where you really finish stuff can really teach you how to nail. It's not about being quick, it's about being effective with your decisions. Economic, making choices that matter, that change things rather than just noodling. You notice that I don't really zoom in too much. Probably throughout this video, not at all until I get to the scars. But I think, you know, if a face looks good from like where I'm zoomed out to here, then it works, that's fine. I don't need to see the pores on the skin to know that it's real. I think I changed the shape of the head, which, looking back now, I'm not too happy with. I think I changed that again later on to fix it up. I'll try to get some fresh eyes after a few days. Throughout the video I tried slapping on colour, like here, fairly unsuccessfully, just cropping it down. The image is too big. Yeah, I was undecided on whether or not I wanted to go to colour with this, and whenever I tried, I didn't like how it looked. I'll keep it in the video because I guess it's interesting to see. I think I just took an overlay layer or something, just lay it over, just trying out whether or not I'd like that. But the thing is, with using the overlays and stuff, like, to be honest, how far I've gone already is probably too far for what the underpainting in black and white should look like. Because once you use these layers, you need to really work over them so that the color shifts comply with the brush strokes more, rather than just shifting a lot, just ununified with the brush strokes that are below them. Using levels here, just Control L, you can play around moving those arrows around, so it's great. know, darker darks and lighter lights. So I decided I didn't like the colour, came back to the black and white sketch again. Trying to get a better perspective on the neck. Always focus on the weakest area. If there's something that's bugging you, you kind of have to address it. I mean, I was fairly happy with the face looked disposed, but something to do with the way the neck was connecting, and also the top and back of the head. It still looks strange to me at this point. Not working on them. Ears are weird too. There we go. Fix the back of the head. For the value range around this point to the final, but I mentioned in the other video I did, it's very, I like these predominantly mid-tone images. Very low contrast, but it's trying to portray that without it just feeling washed out. Color again, don't know why. Try and slap it on unsuccessfully once again. I think a big problem is if you want the black and white drawing underneath when you use overlay layers should be very, very low contrast. You can do that by going into the levels, Control L, and the two lowest arrows. If you bring them both in towards the middle, then the darks will become lighter and the lights will become darker, and you'll have a very mid-tone based image that if you use overlays on, you won't get that thing where all the lights become kind of grey, like they wash out, they go more towards white than any real saturation. Just going back through the layers there, it's a big part of my process. It's just, you know, all big decisions are on a new layer. I don't really think about it now, I just always making new ones. Just flick back through them, make sure that things are progressing. It's again another big part of being fast, making sure that you're actually moving forward rather than making things worse. I often find that what I had earlier is usually much more effective. Still haven't gotten to the tribal scar marks, but they're coming. Here we go. Alright, so I created a layer and just started blocking in one flat value the shapes I wanted. So I wanted this kind of just off perfect circle that you see in the top left image of my reference. I was just going to go for that same shape there, since that seems to be a predominant one. Just have it coming around the eyes, just blocking it in. Don't worry about edges at this point, just worry about shape and pattern, making sure that it complies with the forms. Duplicate the layer, pick the one underneath. Oh, I'll pick the one on top. Basically, you duplicate it and then fill it in with a lighter layer than the dark one you had, and then use Control and either left or right, depending on your light source, and it will give the impression that there's a shadow underneath, if that makes sense. So you've duplicated the layer, filled it in so it's a slightly lighter value, and then moved it slightly to create the impression that it's either coming up or digging into the surface that it's on. And now I'm just going through with a transparency lock or something. It's the little like grey hatchy square in the layers menu just above. If you click that, then you're only working in your selection. So I'm just going through, just working on each of the dots on the layer that's on top, just with the soft brush, giving a sense of light to the ones I want. This should be catching it. Just trying out some other things. I think this one was a little unsuccessful. I can change it, but you know, it's better to experiment, see what works, and then go back. If it's not working, then it is to just commit too much to the first thing you try, and then it doesn't work, and you have to explain to the client, you know, like, oh, I messed up. It's never nice, so it's always better just to, I guess, be loose, try different effects out, and then go and finish whatever works, I suppose. But once you have a base down for your lighting, just try picking your shadow mark, creating a line, and then picking your highlight mark and putting it parallel, like adjacent, touching along either side, and just see how that creates either the effect of a cut into the surface or a protruding mark, both of which will count actually as a scar. You can see here the edges I'm making are dark and then light, and the way they're going is that from where I've established the light, it looks like they're cutting into the surface. Trying to be subtle with it, not use too many super darks. Mostly go for the light shapes, just to imply that that's happening, that the side of the scar that's coming back up to the normal level is catching light. So I had a break for a few days or something, came back. Just at the levels, clearly. It's a little more intense. Wanted to change the shape of the head, I think. Nothing. Yeah, adjusting the perspective of the head felt weird. It's funny that making a face that works right is much more difficult than achieving the effect of some scar marks. But I think it mostly comes from an understanding of light. So here I'm going through And reinforcing the shadows underneath each of the marks. Just each of them should have a light, a mid-value, and a shadow. Depending on where they're placed, it will change how round or how flat these protrusions are. I'd also recommend softening the edges in the dark areas. Just people use the lasso tool a lot for this kind of thing. I like to use it, but I wouldn't recommend keeping the sharp effect that it gives. Something to do with the way it rasterizes. It comes across as sharper than sharp, whereas only really one point in your image at most should be that sharp. Still going around, fixing the face. Addict. Going around, making some of them brighter, the stars. Bring them out a little more. It's a little too mid-tone based, I think. I want to make it sure that from a distance they read. But not too, I mean, the bottom left example in my reference picture is very extreme. I guess it's a cool image, but horrifying as well. On most of them, I notice if you squint down and look at them, you can't really see any of the scars. So, I'm not going to go in and use like darkest darks or whitest whites on every single one of them. There'll just be points that are more likely to catch light than others. Wanted to go in and get some ones like that bottom left example. So this is two values, so you see that's light on the top and a dark line underneath, and that instantly gives the effect of a protruding mark. But if it was the other way around, it would give the effect of cutting into the face. It's actually kind of look like gills of Abe Sapien or something. Just going around trying to make it so they're not all just white. It looks cool in the initial values, but it's a bit much, so just going in, jumping around back to the darks. Apparently. That's why I find it difficult doing these tutorials, because I have to pretend like there was some reasoning to my process, when really I just jump around all over the place to whatever catches my eye. Okay, finally getting back to these scars. Just building in the sense of light again, rotating them, making sure the shapes all read cohesively. At this point they're a little sharp all the way around. I soften them. It's coming to an end now. Just, putting in some more light shapes and raising them towards the edge, just imply a few more scars. I hope this has been helpful, and it's not just been how to noodle on a face, but it has. Stress learning the skill to be able to quickly look at images and gain the knowledge you want if you don't know how to paint something. I think that's the real thing I'm trying to teach here. That'll be really invaluable if you ever want to work in the commercial field. So thank you for watching. If you want to see more of my work, you can find it at www.samcard.net. Thanks for watching.